crazy how little things can start the blame game. It's still fairly early today, and I've already had an eventful morning. Starting off with the fact of not listening to my intuition and getting out of bed when the alarm first went off, and instead sitting and scrolling through Marketplace just to look at stuff that I don't need. That in itself is an excuse, and that in itself I can see where I was already starting to feel that I wasn't being true to myself. I wasn't listening to my inner self. Yesterday was great. The day before that, I took the day off and just really sat with myself. And so I felt the benefits of it yesterday. Yesterday, I was able to truly connect with myself. I was able to get a lot done. I was able to be productive. And then today, I fell back on that slack wagon. And the events leading up to actually making it to the gym made it very apparent why my intuition was telling me to leave once I woke up this morning. We won't go into the details, but let's just say there was a lot of grief and there was a lot of questioning what exactly would cause this energy to come about this morning. Of course, because I made it late, I was in school traffic, and there was a moment within an interaction with another driver of, let's say, selfishness. It was either selfishness or being in their own mind. And while I was super irritated in the moment, instantly after I got my irritation out on my console, I realized that I came back into the reflection of, well, what is this trying to show me? What is this reflecting? Because we are just mirrors of each other. Where am I being selfish, or where am I being in my own head? And as the trip continues to the gym, another instance occurred in the parking lot. An instance that caused me not to even go into the gym. I literally just left. But then there was the grief because of that instance, and the reflection of, well, was that a sign? Was the lady in traffic the sign for what just occurred? Was it a hint or a warning that madness was to occur, or was it the fact that I lost my good vibe energy, and so I was just destined to have this other instance occur only moments later? So I came home and I reflected even more, did my morning pages, thank you the creative way, and it started pulling out even more blame games. Well, maybe if I hadn't have read my fiction book last night right before bed, I would have been in a better mind space this morning. Maybe I'm being selfish in the way that I am going about this phase of my life. Maybe I'm not supposed to go exactly after what I want. Maybe these other things that have been hinting themselves to me are the direction that I'm supposed to go, but because I don't feel like it's going to be as fun, I've been resisting and going towards something more keen to what I think would be fun. And these are all this is me overanalyzing. This is me getting inside my own head, and I guess to a point being selfish for the fact of every moment we have is a new beginning. And I realize that, and I know that today is going to be fine. Just because this morning was in a weird state doesn't mean that the rest of the day has to be in a weird state. And I have to say that I feel pretty good about even turning the camera on right now and getting this off of my chest, especially after just writing about it. I don't have the answer. I came up with so many different conclusions, so many different routes of what this could be hinting towards. And then I realized, like I've said in a previous video, about looking for the answers outside of myself. It's that pattern of not coming to terms with myself, not connecting with my inner being within my frame, and asking my intuition and what I feel like is the best thing to do. But the blame game on all these different occurrences of why things happen the way they did don't even really so much revolve around other people. The other people, the lady in traffic, was just a reflection. And I'm not blaming her. I'm not blaming the irritation of that whole situation. I caught myself more so blaming my actions previously. I caught myself blaming different things that I had done that could potentially be the karmic reaction for what occurred this morning. And even with just even blaming the certain things that I myself did, there's still not a responsibility being taken there. Like, even though it's something that I did, I'm still giving my power away to whatever these circumstances are. And if I wouldn't have caught myself, if I wouldn't have reflected back into my morning pages, if I would have just kept stewing and feeling like shit because I had these instances occur, then I could see where today would have been a super down spiral of just doom and gloom. That mental vortex of just, well, you're not worth it. Well, you're such a piece of shit. Well, you could do so much better. And while, don't get me wrong, I definitely have some feelings of regret, remorse, grief going on within myself, shame even. Sitting with those feelings, I can feel it in my chest. Sitting with those feelings and actually just allowing them to occur have really made me feel so much better in just the matter of minutes that I've allowed myself to feel those. Like I said, I'm not going to allow this weird morning to take over the rest of the day or even lead on to other days. This is something that I get to deal with. This is something that I guess you could say I'm going to transmute. I understand that there is grief, which life, you can't always be rainbows and puppies. And so I'm going to take this opportunity today to, like I said, just kind of sit and reflect with it, still get my shit done, still know that I am worthy of what I am working towards, and be okay with it. Give myself the grace. Could I have done things better this morning? Yeah, there's definitely some things that I could have done better. But in the same instance, it's not like I did anything malicious to anyone else. I did my best, and that's all I can really do. That's all any of us can really do. There is the responsibility of taking responsibility of our emotions, of our actions, yet it's human to still feel those emotions that sometimes cause us to react. And it's whenever we catch ourselves reacting rather than responding, the only way that we can even come back from that in a more smoothly gracious way is by giving ourselves permission, is by giving ourselves the grace and acceptance for who we are, for doing the best that we can. Now today is going to be a whirlwind. I can already feel it. I can feel the grief and the shame arising, even though I did sit with it, but it's not half as potent as it was initially, right after these instances occurred. I'll get over this. I have plans for today. I have a structure and I have a schedule that I'm going to keep. And pretty much what I get to remind myself today is, again, that just because something gnarly happened at the beginning of the day doesn't mean that it's going to set the tone for the rest of the day. I get to make the choice. I get to move forward with how I want to move forward. It's all in our own choice. There could be an argument here that some of us aren't even aware that we are more comfortable in that lower level woe me self-pity. And that's pretty blunt to put it. But whenever we've been living our lives on such autopilot, we only know a certain way of being. There comes to be a payoff. There comes to be that evidence that we give ourselves that holds true to how we see and how we move along. It comes within the awareness. It comes within understanding where you are and where you want to be, and knowing that you have to make the change. You have to take responsibility and put forth the effort into change. It would be so easy for me to just feel like shit for the rest of the day, to use this morning's weirdness as my excuse to lay around or just read my book or hold off until tomorrow to get anything accomplished. Yet it's not even 10 o'clock yet, and there's a whole day waiting. There's a whole day that's just waiting for things to be accomplished. And I would be doing myself a disservice if I just sat in the nitty-gritty of feeling bad about myself, getting stuck in that self-grief or that shame. Now, this is easier said than done, and this has been something that I've worked on for the last few months, few years. And while each time it still fucking hits, but it's just not as hard as it used to be. What happened this morning could have put me in a downward spiral for multiple days. It could have, previously, it would have been one of those instances that I would have just done a mental loop of the situation over and over again. Pretty much whenever you think about things, the emotions that come with that thought is the emotion that you feel within yourself. And your mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's a memory, what's real and what we're creating. And so to just sit in the doom and gloom and the repetitive cycle of what had occurred, and especially the way that I felt about it, shame and grief and remorse, to just sit in that vicious cycle for days, even for the rest of today, would have brought that energy frequency into that state. Now, we're always fluctuating in our energy states, but the more that we can realize that we're in like a lower, denser energy, the easier it is for us to work our way out of it, to at least catch ourselves and start working on clearing out the mind to be more optimistic, to think about things that we're grateful for. It's a work in progress. It's not something that happens overnight. And while it's the human flow to hit all of these emotions throughout our life, it's our responsibility whether or not we sit and we stagnate in that energy, or if we pull ourselves out of it and work on raising our vibration, work on reframing our mindset and finding priorities that actually matter, finding the thought processes of either working towards a goal that we're excited about, or even just taking a step back and being grateful for what it is we have. Even if it's the fact that we did wake up this morning and we have air in our lungs and that we can breathe, we're here. It's the little things. Nobody's perfect. Life likes to throw these little lessons at us so that we remember that we're alive. And yet, now that we're on this roller coaster ride of awareness and wanting better for ourselves, then it's these little steps of taking a moment to feel into that grief, feel into that shame, to allow it to disperse, to allow it to run its course, and then after a few moments, allow ourselves to feel something better, allow ourselves to bring in that hope, to focus on what we are grateful for. The fact that it's not the end of the world and that it's done and it's over with, and now we find the solution, whatever that may be. I'd love to hear from you. Do you ever catch yourself in a real shit situation? What is it that you do to pull yourself out of it? Have you made the connection with the awareness of taking the time to feel into what it is that you're feeling? Emotions are scary as shit. So I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. Until next time.